Hello guys, how y'all doing? This is Jay, and in this video I'll talk about while loops. So yeah, our subject today is while loops. So first, let me tell you, I'm still using the same website, ripple.com, and I just changed the background color, and you can do that simply by going there, here, settings, and then you have a theme, and you have options light or dark, and I just chose the dark because simply it looks cooler with the dark. Looks like a hacker move. Okay, so alright, so let's talk about a while loop. And while loop is just like a for loop, except that it takes a condition to run. So we said in the for loop, we can run, the for loop can loop over a list, dictionary, a set, or a string. While loops takes a condition in order to run. Okay, so the statements inside the while loop are repeatedly executed as long as the condition holds. Once the condition evaluates to false, we exit the loop. Okay, so what it means is it means we have a while loop, and this while loop takes a condition, and if it's kind of like the if statements, you know, when you write if and then gives it a condition, you write while and then gives it a condition. So while this is true, do this number of times. Okay, while it's false, do nothing. Okay, if it's the condition false, do nothing. Okay, so let me demonstrate for you what I mean. Okay, so let's say we have a basket and we have zero apples on the basket, and then we have a while loop, and then to construct a while loop, this is how we format a while loop. Okay, so we say while, okay, and then inside two parentheses, it's optional, you can use two parentheses or you can just use nothing. Okay, no parentheses, nothing, but I'm gonna use parentheses. You can say while apples less than, say, 10. Okay, and then just like the for loop, it takes colon and then enter, and this is important, you have to put the colon right here. This is the syntax, and enter. And then notice the next block code is indented, so this is just like the for loop, if statements and all that. Indentation is really important. Alright, so this indentation to tell the compiler that this next statement is inside the while loop. Okay, so we say while indentation. Okay, you're gonna say print. Okay, you're gonna say print apples. Alright, and colon, and I want to print also apples value. Okay, let me put some indentation here so I show you, and then one more piece of code. This is important, we have to do that. Okay, so we say apples, we have to increment apples, say apples equal apples plus 1. Okay, so let me explain this. Okay, so while we have a while loop right here, and it says while this condition is true, run this code. If this condition evaluates to false, don't run this code. Okay, and then of course this condition is true because apples are 0 less than 10, so it's gonna run this code. It's gonna say print apples, print the string apples, and then second argument is going to print the value of apples, the variable apples, which is 0 the first time it runs, and then when it goes down, it's going to say then assign increment apples by 1. Okay, so what this means is take the value of apples, which is 0, and then add 1 to it and assign it to apples back. Okay, and we can do this in two ways. Okay, we can do this like this, and it's going to run the same way. And let me just run the code first, and as you can see, it's going to print apples and the value of apples 0, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And or we can do it another way, and it's basically a shortcut in Python. You can do this. It's called the incrementing operator. Okay, you write plus equal 1. Okay, what this means is take the value of apples, add 1 to it. Okay, you can add 2 instead, or you can add 3 or 4, whatever number. Okay, or you can change the plus to minus. You can subtract one from apples, okay, or you can multiply it, okay. So take the value of apples, multiply it by a value, okay, by a number, or take the value of apples and divide it by a number, okay. And that's pretty clear. You can tell what you can do with it. Alright, so let's go over how this runs. Okay, so we run this and it's going to print apple 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What this is going to run the code X number of times until this condition evaluates to false. Okay, so it's going to run the first time, it's going to print apples with 0, and then it's going to increment the value of apples, okay, which is right here. It's going to, so the second time the code run, apples is going to be 1, okay, as you can see right here. The first time the code run, apples was 0. The second time it incremented, we add 1 to apples, and now apples are 2. And then the third time we add another 1, so now apples are 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so on. Okay, and notice in here, okay, let's put this back to 0, and notice in here I have this variable outside the for loop, and the reason is if we had this variable inside the for loop, every time the for loop runs, the value of this variable would basically go back to 0. Okay, so it's very important you have this outside the for loop in the main flow, and you don't put it inside the while loop. The same thing happens if you put it inside the for loop. It would just go back to the original value of the variable. Okay, so alright, and yeah, this is how you run the for loop, and we can do a lot with it. Alright, and I want to also go over the break statement inside the while loop. Okay, so the break statement basically to break outside of the loop. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let's say we have an if statement inside the for loop, and we say if, okay, say apples equal to 5, print break. Alright, and then we're gonna break, and this is the statement right here. This is the break statement. You just basically add this statement, and it's gonna break out of the loop. Okay, so let me run this and see what happens. Okay, so run this. It's gonna say apples 0, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then we reach 5, and then it breaks. So what happens is we have an if statement right here that says every time the loop runs, okay, it's gonna check this if statement. It's gonna check if apples equal to 5, and then we are incrementing apples right here. And then when apples reaches 5, it's gonna say print break, and then it's gonna break out of the loop. Okay, so simply this is what happens. Alright, and this is a break statement, very simple. We have another statement called continue, and then what continue does, change this to continue. Okay, so what the continue does, it basically stops the current iteration and then go back to the second to the next iteration. So what let me show you what it does. Okay, so let's run this code. Okay, and so basically what it does, what it did right here is it went over, it incremented apples by 1, and then by 2, and then by 3, and then by 4, and we have if statement right here that says if apples equal 5, print continue. Okay, and then continue. So if apples equal 5, stop whatever next code is, don't execute anything else, just go back to the first right here in the loop, and then run again. Okay, so it's gonna not break, but it's gonna stop the current flow and then go to the next iteration. Alright, so notice here it didn't print this right here, didn't print apples equal 5. I just went over and stepped over to the next iteration. Alright, and alright, now we know all this. Let me delete all this right here. let's run this again. Alright, and I want to go over this one last concept, which is the forever infinite loop. Okay, so we have to have this statement right here, otherwise the loop will run forever, because this statement will stay true. Okay, will stay true forever, because 0 is less than 10. Okay, and this will value the true, and will stay true forever unless we change, unless we not play this variable, add something to it, or increment to it from it. So if we didn't have this statement, if we delete this statement, the loop would run forever, and your program would crash, and probably your computer will crash. Alright, so I'm just gonna demonstrate for you guys what would happen. I'm gonna stop it real quick because it's gonna run forever. I'm gonna crash my my browser. Alright, okay, let's stop it. And as you guys saw, it was printing apples continuously and not stopping. Alright, so this is an infinite loop, because basically this statement will stay true forever, because nothing is happening to it. So yeah, it's basically just like saying this. Okay, it's just like saying this. Okay, so when we run this, it's gonna do the same thing. Okay, it's gonna print apples this number of times. Okay, and all 0 0 apples, all 0 0. My browser crashed and I can't. Anyways, this is all I have to show you, and yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you later. I have to fix my browser.